Welcome to Artistic Adventures. Today's adventure, we continue our steampunk series and we're going to make lace hose for one of my dolls and add it to our steampunk outfit. First of all, I have a piece of lace here that I bought at a thrift store, just a little scrap, but I like it for this project because it's a little bit stretchy, and that's going to help when we're putting it on and off the doll. And I'm using as a pattern this pair of tights from one of my Monster High dolls. A lot of times you can use their clothes as patterns for things you want to make. Even if you don't like the way their clothes look, you might be able to make something you do like. And this is a good example of that. Now I'm cutting about somewhere between a half and a fourth of an inch around the outer edge of these tights. That'll give me room to make a seam and then we'll be able to turn it. Okay, so once you get those trimmed up, use a needle and thread and make a really fine stitch around just out on the outside of the tight pattern. Now once you have that all stitched up, we can remove the tight pattern and we're going to have to add an extra step. Because this lace is so open, it's going to be hard for that seam to hold it by itself. So we're going to add a little bit of glue. I'm using tacky glue to squeeze a little out. And then I'm going to use a pointed tool to go in and press the glue into the seam, right on top of the seam. If you don't do this, that stitch is not going to be enough to hold the lace together, and when you turn it, it'll rip and fall apart. Also, you want to be able to trim the seam down to where it's very small. That way you don't see a lot of it when you turn it and it doesn't look all, bulky under there. All right. So just go all the way around, putting that little bit of glue right on top of the seam. Now it's going to really strengthen the seam and allow us to turn it without breaking it and also to trim the seam down. Now once we have this glue on there and let it dry, we'll be able to trim some of that bulky seam off. Okay, so let that dry. And then we're going to trim it. And I use just a little pair of sharp cuticle scissors because they're easier to maneuver on some of these tight curves than a large pair of scissors would be. You don't have to, but that's just my preference. Okay, so we're going to trim all the way down to the glue, not through the glue or into the glue, but down to the glue. And that will give us a nice firm seam and we'll be able to turn it without having a lot of bulky mess underneath. Okay, now I have this really cool tool that I bought when I was making cloth dolls, and it was used to turn their fingers, which were really small. And it's just like a little pair of pliers with a long handle. And you can go in and grab the toe with the plier part and gripping it tightly, then you can just gently pull through until you have the entire leg turned. Now you don't have to have that tool. I just wanted to show it to you in case you do a lot of this. It's very handy. Or you have other little things to turn. If not, you can use something like a paintbrush handle, something that has a blunt end or rounded end so it doesn't poke through the lace. Then make a little pocket on the toe so that you can put your paintbrush handle into that, and then slowly use your fingers to move the fabric down until you can reach the toe through the waist and pull it out. Okay, so now we have our hose. The next step will be to put an elastic waistband on it. And the elastic that I use is a little wide. I probably could have used a smaller piece, but this is what I had. And I'm putting on something that's wider than the waist, so it'll stretch it out. That way when I sew it, it will make the thread loose, because if you tried to put it on with by sewing it at the same width as the waist, it'll just break the thread when you try to put it on the doll. All right, so there's our finished product. I think they turned out really well. And when we get to the end of the steampunk project, we'll add them to our doll. that has the dress and the top hat and everything else, and you'll be able to see the full outfit. So stay tuned. We have lots more steampunk coming up. We're going to be making some boots, which is going to be hard and a challenge, but fun. Please subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thanks and bye.